while the embattled nation of Mali may soon be getting some help in reuniting the nation and restoring power to the legitimate government.
The United Nations Security Council has authorized the deployment of foreign troops to help unify Mali. Al-Qaeda-linked militant groups seized control of the north in April, shortly after renegade soldiers toppled Mali's elected president Amadou Toumani Touré. Now, for more on the decision by the Security Council, VOA's Margaret Besheer joins us on the phone from the United Nations. Hello, Margaret.
Morning.
Morning. Thanks for joining us today. So basically, this United Nations resolution endorses what ECOWAS had proposed earlier, right?
Correct. It endorses. ECOWAS asked for 3,300 troops. The Security Council has given them the authorization to gather this force together. It will be an African-led force. But there was no specific number put in the resolution, and diplomats say that's because maybe more than 3,300 may be needed for this operation.
Now, according to the Security Council resolution, the force should be, well, at least has been approved for an initial one-year period. Do we know when this deployment will actually begin taking place?
Well, there's a lot of factors that will go into the actual timing. There's certain benchmarks that must be met. First of all, the Malian army needs to improve its capacity. It needs to be trained. There'll be trainers sent in from other countries to assist them. They need to, they need to be able to go north and be able to take on these terrorists and rebels. So they can't go in unprepared. That's one benchmark. Another issue is the weather. They have to wait until the fall, most people are saying, until the autumn, maybe September, when the weather will be better because it's a desert climate, and they need to be able to go in under the right weather conditions.
Now, human rights groups, in this particular case Amnesty International, is raising some concern about the fact that the forces that are approved will be able to take all necessary measures to carry out their mandate, whatever that mandate is, and its various aspects. Any legitimate reason for their concerns, considering that the resolution does stipulate that the forces have to adhere to the humanitarian and human rights laws internationally?
Right. Well, anytime you have conflict, you have the opportunity for human rights abuses, sexual violence, torture, arbitrary killings, violence and abuses like that. So the human rights groups are concerned that if you introduce more fighting into the area, that you'll introduce more potential for human rights abuses. So they're drawing attention to that. But the Security Council did take this into consideration, as you mentioned. It is in the resolution. There will be human rights training for the Malian security forces. There will be other measures. The UN will have a human rights monitoring presence on the ground. So this has been thought about, and it will be addressed. But really, the bottom line is diplomats want a political process to start. And the idea, perhaps maybe even the threat of military action, they're hoping will spur the parties to have reconciliation talks. And the Malian government has said they will talk to parties in the north that renounce terrorism, disassociate themselves from Al-Qaeda and other groups. So hopefully this will move a political process forward first, and there may not even be a need for troops later.
And very briefly, Margaret, any mention at all in the resolution about the current state of the Malian government? Just recently, the last time I talked to you, the Prime Minister had been ousted out. There is a new Prime Minister. He's already set in a new government.
Well, it does call for a roadmap to be put in place for a political transition with legislative and presidential elections as soon as possible in the new year.
Okay. Well, you hit it right on the nail. Thank you so much. That's Margaret Besheer, our UN correspondent, joining us from New York.